Coming up on this edition of the Hog Central Podcast, the defense was better, but what about the offense? Who's to blame for that 2010 loss to Texas? We break it down in this edition of the Hog Central Podcast.
This is the Hog Central Podcast, sponsored by Oaklawn Sports, Arkansas's best sports betting app. Bet with the brand you trust. Bet with Oaklawn Sports. And now, here's your host, Steve Sullivan.
Welcome to the Hog Central Podcast. I'm Steve Sullivan, longtime KTV sportscaster, along with the busiest guy in Arkansas, the former Razorback captain, linebacker, Little Rock Touchdown Club, Burroughs Award.
That's good.
Last Monday for Little Rock Touchdown Club today.
Yeah, Jordan Rogers was great. Very complimentary of the Hogs' performance against Texas, and he seems to be positive about the Hogs. He was disappointed, Sully, in some of the play calling by Petrino. He didn't vocalize it as much during the meeting today, but he had said as much before to me.
The thing that frustrates me, every loss has been the same. There's a key turnover, there are sacks, and there are holding penalties. They had two holding penalties. They only took one because they sacked him during the play.
Yeah, I think the sacks have been the theme.
Yeah.
48 yards more than Ole Miss. That's 6 sacks, 8 tackles for losses. We're having the same problems we did last year. Not enough time to throw the ball.
And you know what's really concerning me?
What's that?
Talen Green is becoming less and less of a dual-threat quarterback. He doesn't pose that running threat much anymore.
Yeah, they haven't. It just hadn't seemed to be an important part of it.
Yeah, you look at the quarterbacks in the SEC, outside of Jalen Milroe, you would think he would be the biggest threat running the ball, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to protect him or what. Maybe they just feel like they don't want to get him banged up.
But wouldn't you think he'd be the guy to be number 2 ahead of Jackson Dart?
Yeah.
He's 5th.
Well, they had a few plays for him, but not. I think he's got banged up so much, Sully, that they're afraid to run him.
But one thing I don't think he has that good running quarterbacks have. If you look at Patrick Mahomes, I think is the best at having this. What do you think it is?
It's the ability to not get hit.
Instincts.
Yeah, instincts.
Instincts in the pocket. Yeah. I got 2 good examples. I hate these calls. I call them surrender plays. When it's 3rd and 19 and you toss it into the flat,
I agree.
And you
wasted downs,
4 or 5 yards. Well, there was a play on Saturday where if he had pumped and just gone to the left, there is as much ground as he covers with one stride, he would have got 30 yards.
Yeah.
And and there was another one. It was like a 3rd and 5, and he threw to the guy, and the defender was on his back when he caught the ball. If he had just pumped and ran, he would have got the first down. Have you ever seen him when he's in the open, even in pump fake? I mean, he's the type of guy, he's a great athlete, and I think he's throwing the ball as well as he's thrown it all season.
Yeah.
But I just don't see those instincts there as a runner. He's a great athlete. He can outrun you.
Yeah, I think him getting nicked up has sort of hurt that.
Yeah.
I think that they've called plays away from that, and I think he's gotten out of that mental mindset, to be honest with you, and he's got dinged up, so I don't think he's as aggressive.
Yeah, decision-making, too. You're 2nd and 1 on that first interception, so the odds are in your favor. You should be throwing to open receivers.
Yeah.
And Tyrone Broden, this is not a shot. He hasn't been the most consistent guy this season. And you threw the ball into triple coverage, and it went off his hands and was picked off.
Yeah.
And to me, that's as much on you as him. Because if you're going to throw to someone, the only one I would throw to is Andrew Armstrong in those circumstances.
Well, and Charlie, you think about it, they waited. I don't know why they were waiting to be aggressive with Armstrong. At this point, throw it to him, please.
Yeah.
Just let him go out there and beat his man and throw it to him.
Yeah, I think every pass play should be your first option in Armstrong, and then you tuck it and go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then another thing, and they can see this on tape, opponents, and probably Petrino has noticed this, always leaks to the right. And that's a right-handed quarterback, probably deferring that way, but never goes to his left.
Yeah.
Always to his right.
Well, I just don't like the drop back. I know you got to have it, but we just can't protect very well with a standard drop back. If he rolls out, he's got a chance to run and throw it. I'd almost rather do that every play, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's been every week. I mean, it's been the same. It's trying to make him a better pocket passer.
But the good thing, Sully, is the positive, not at this point, it's just moral victories, which doesn't mean a whole lot, is that the defense played much better than they did against Ole Miss, and the shuffling around of secondary players helped.
Yeah, I applaud the defense, though, because when he got ripped, he made changes.
Yeah.
He went with the umbrella 3 deep. He had 3 new players record season high in snaps. I mean, he made serious changes. Where on the offense, we seem to be doing the same thing each week.
Of course, it makes you wonder, Coach, why were we not? How did you not miss the evaluation process on this? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
But you look on the flip side, and we are married to that pocket. They're not rolling him out, which
And today, the Touchdown Club, Jordan Rogers was talking about he didn't like the pistol formation and trying to run out of it and the way Arkansas was doing. Gave some observations. So, but I thought what Pittman said was interesting. Sully in the post game, they asked why was the second half better. He said because the instead of going run pass, the offensive line just said we're going to come out and run 2 or 3 plays in a row. He got in a rhythm, and
I thought Jaquincy Jackson looked good.
He did. He looked good. He did.
If you're a linebacker and you're facing Talen Green, where do you want him?
You don't want him outside of the tackles. You want to keep him in the pocket.
Yeah. That's what kind of surprises me about Coach Petrino, where they haven't tried to get him out. Because the best pass he threw on Saturday was when he escaped pressure.
I know.
And threw a dart to Armstrong.
Well, that Sully,
or Satano.
I would rather they move the pocket, get him out every time. Because Sully, when you drop back in that traditional pocket, you constrict his space, and we have had trouble protecting.
Yeah.
So he's got about a second or two, and he's going to be covered up.
Yeah, the fumble late, C.J. Brown, if you feel bad for him. He's a freshman trying to make a play. That was his first catch of the season, and probably not the best time when you if you're looking from way up here and you're looking 3 days later.
Yeah, so we asked Sam Pittman that.
Yeah.
He goes, we believe in CJ, and that's not the question. If you're Satane, you're like, are you kidding me? Or Has, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Throw it to the guys he had 1 reception.
Yeah.
Nothing against him, but
yeah.
That was the game-winning drive.
Yeah, just think how excited he was just to get the ball.
Which he did a good job of catching it, but he's not used to running with it. He has not had 1 game with a catch.
Yeah, and that's on Coach Petrino because he was apparently the first option on that play.
It was, yeah. Well, and then did he know? You presume, did he know? Did the substitution pattern for the receivers does he know that this was going to catch the ball?
Yeah.
He caught it, but again, if you're not used to, you hadn't had 1 play with the ball in your hand all year.
It's just frustrating offensively that we are how many weeks in, and there's still free runners to the quarterback. It's not all. I can take the safety getting beat by a double move. I mean, that's a physical play that he got beat on. Mm-hmm. But when you don't identify a blitzer, and that's happened so many times with this offensive line, and you get a free run at the quarterback, you'd think by this time in the season, they'd be better at that.
It's been back-to-back years of that struggle, Sully, and just they have not looked. I mean, if you combine the tackles for losses and sacks between LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas, it's not good.
Yeah. On the upside, you got a chance now at a 7-wins regular season if you beat Louisiana Tech in Missouri. If you lose to Missouri, you look at a 2-4 back half of the season.
Yeah. Like sort of similar to last year.
Yeah, where you hate to end that way. And that's the trouble with when I told you with Sam Pittman, if you start well, you got to finish well. If you start poorly, they give up on you.
And I'm just telling you, Drinkwitz would love to hang 30 or 40 on us again. That would be a big win for them. And listen, we have not beaten them in 10 years up there, over 10 years. So I'm not optimistic about that game. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, the plus with
listen, they better be ready to play this week. So Louisiana Tech beat Western Kentucky, who was undefeated in conference.
Yeah,
they were 5-0 until they played Louisiana Tech. That would not be good.
Yeah, and we've seen the lower end guys step up, and we've seen it in Fayetteville.
Yes,
yeah. We can't have that happen this week. We physically the better team. Sam Pittman said it's all about us. We gotta. Take this seriously.
Give you 3 initials, UAB.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that just goes to show UAB's terrible.
Yeah.
They've had a terrible year.
Yeah.
If they don't come out ready to play, they'll be in a dogfight with it. But if we're the better team.
What has UAB done since playing?
Nothing. Get their heads handed to them.
Yeah.
Well, I think that game was as close as they come to getting a win.
Yeah. Well, they'll be blitzing Talen Green. I can guarantee that.
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
But the one thing that those kind of teams, Sully, they if you push him out of the pocket, he'll beat you against those kind of teams.
We assumed early in the season that you'd be able to run the ball on a team like UAB, but that wasn't the case. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't just bully him at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You had to run your offense, and you would think this would be a game that Talen would be a willing runner.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You're 5-5.
Yeah.
Are you happy with 5-5?
No. I mean,
is this where you expected to be?
Well, I'm probably better than I expected at the beginning of the season. I was the one who bet better than 4.5.
Yeah, you beat Tennessee. That was the wild card, and you beat Auburn on the road.
I thought, honestly, when I made that bet for over 4.5, I thought Louisiana Tech would be the game, and they got there earlier. But your expectations change.
Yeah.
When you're 4-2 and you think you should be 6-0, and you played LSU into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You had a shot against Texas. And I just feel like they're underachieving to a point. That bothers me.
Yeah, so Sully, I'm just telling you, they better play well this weekend, and they better not get run out of the stadium. And I'm just telling you, Missouri can run us out of the stadium. They've done it to us before. They did it last year, and all of a sudden then you go limping into your bowl game, embarrassed. So they better be ready to play.
Yeah, what's your assessment of this team? Where are you at on the offense and the defense?
I think it's an average team. It's an average team.
You are what your record says you are. You're 5-5.
It's an average team, and sometimes listen. The defense. I thought the defense played well this weekend. Offense 76 yards, 4 first downs in the first half. They're playing against the top 5 defense in Texas. They were better. Texas is just a better team. So it's an average team. You're playing against players that are better than you, and so you had a chance. Listen, you still have a chance against number 3 Texas. You're driving 20-10 with 13 minutes left on the 25.
Yeah,
you fumble.
Yeah, but that's been the case in every loss. There's been that critical turnover, and that the expectation, too, with the Bobby Petrino offense was, and we saw it early in the season with Oklahoma State in the first half, chunk plays, all these chunk plays.
Yeah, but you know what's been disappointing, Sully? We've had one receiver this year.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he's a good one. He's the best in the SEC.
That's it.
Yeah.
We've won.
Yeah.
Used to be in the old Petrino days, you'd have 2, 3. Joe Adams.
I think what you said about targeting him 10 or 15 times, because the thing with him, he doesn't have to be open to make the catch. I mean, and give Talen credit. He's been putting the ball in there. There was one on the sideline that was just a beautiful throw that he dropped in.
Yeah, well, that's what got the drive going in the second half.
Yes.
Throw it to him. He saw a one-on-one situation.
Yeah.
I don't think he had over-the-top help. And let him beat his guy. He can do it.
Yeah, we saw Jordan Anthony had a flash on a catch and run. Satania had a couple of catches, but nothing out of the tight end. And that's been frustrating. I watched Saturday night Georgia throw the ball 10 times, their tight ends. Those are the guys usually lost in the secondary. And I don't know if it's a function of, and I don't think that's the case, of them keeping Luke Haas in to block a lot.
It's been
or if maybe he's not the guy that we thought he was.
It's just been a mystery. I thought they would. Now, you saw against Mississippi State, remember?
Yeah.
You saw, 4 touchdowns?
Yeah.
4 touchdowns.
That was a bad defense.
Yeah, bad defense, but still you thought you would see more of that because he loves the tight end.
And we anticipated under Bobby Petrino that, Haas would be the guy who would benefit the most.
Yeah.
And, you watch the other tight ends, and one thing I haven't seen from our offense either, and I hate to be piling on Coach Petrino, but the plays we say up in the press box, like the wide receiver screen that Texas had, the big 85 on the delay. You haven't seen that wide open plays for Arkansas. A lot of them are, you have to work for your yards.
Well, I think you have an average group of receivers. You got one who excels, and you got an average group of offensive linemen. Not bad, but they're not superstars, so they struggle. It's a struggle, Sully. But again, it's a struggle. But 2 games, LSU, what was it? It's 20 to whatever in the third quarter. I mean, they're hanging around. Not pretty, but hanging around.
Yeah. Coach Pittman, you think he's completely safe for the next season?
If they win this week, probably. But I'm telling you, Sully, I'm telling you.
Do you think it?
Missouri could beat us by 20 or 30 if they wanted to.
Do you think it really matters what happens in these last 2 games as far as up in Fayetteville, their mood as far as making the change?
I don't think right now they don't think it is, but it could. If you barely beat Louisiana Tech and you get beat by Missouri, that could be an issue. Remember last year we just completely tanked down. Got 2 embarrassing losses to Auburn and Missouri. If you barely beat Louisiana Tech because you're not ready to play, and then Missouri beats you, there could be some heat there.
Well, there's a hope this defense has taken the next step with the 3 guys back.
Yeah. Well, they look better. Here's the deal, Sully. We didn't get beat deep.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot of guys running.
Saw one play, this little stop and go that.
Yeah, he bit on that.
That is a mystery, though.
Great play. I know.
Those 3 guys, Mitchell, Worth, and there was one other. They had gotten the most this season, 20 to 30 snaps in a game. All of them had 60 and 70. And number one, Keon Stewart.
Look better.
Yeah, even the touchdown that they got on the goal line, Stewart was all over him. It was just a great pass.
Yeah. So all you can ask is that be in the game in the fourth quarter. Then that's what they were.
That's been frustrating that we've been right there against A&M, LSU, Texas. Did get it against Tennessee, but you were hoping this year with all those teams at home, this would be your breakthrough year because next year you go to all those places.
Yeah.
You get Notre Dame at home. You got to go to Memphis. You got an emotional non-conference game with Arkansas State.
Oh, I forget about all that. Holy cow.
Yeah, what a schedule. You got Notre Dame and Fayetteville. You got Memphis. You got Arkansas State. I mean, and, just the juice for that game is going to be – it's not like your normal non-conference game.
Oaklawn Sports is so simple to use, anyone can do it, probably even an ex-football player.
And you can take it anywhere. Pocket size, sort of like you, Raj.
Small perhaps, but powerful, like this offer.
Sign up now for Oaklawn Sports and get up to $1,000 in bonus bets.
That's like a do-over in case you make a questionable decision.
Too bad they can't do that for haircuts.
I'm calling your mom.
Now with new and easy funding options. Bet with the brand you trust. Bet with Oaklawn Sports.
Light it.
We can take people where most people cannot take them.
The generations coming together.
That place was jumping.
The Triple Option, presented by Wendy's, wherever you get your podcasts.
Going back to the end of the year, not being Debbie Downer, but again, struggle. If you struggle to beat Louisiana Tech, you lose to Missouri, maybe not in a good way. That's why I'm saying style points is important also. And then you go to a bowl game and lose. So, I mean, all these people go, oh, yeah, he's good. You better play well these last three games because there's going to be some momentum if you don't play well. If you lose a game or get beat unexpectedly, the heat will get, big.
Yeah, both teams will be looking to improve their bowl status when they play in for your Battle Line trophy.
Yeah. Missouri should have won the game. It was over with. They couldn't stop Southern Cal going 80 yards. But
yeah,
they're dangerous and they like beating us.
Well, how about Rocket Sanders?
Yeah.
Wow. That's one guy. I'm glad to see him do well. I mean,
KJ's at KJ's at the Razorback game.
Yeah, well,
how bizarre a world is all this?
Yeah, we made him rich.
he flew first class here. Hey, he bought his own 50-yard line ticket.
No, it's just and it's just wild how your expectations change.
Yeah.
Beginning of the season, no one thought anything about Arkansas, and then you hit that up after the first half against Oklahoma State, and you think you're a world beater.
If you win that game, Sully, and then you play A&M, you play A&M close for a while through the fourth quarter. And, you get the win at Auburn, and then you beat Tennessee.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, you got to play, better against LSU and.
One thing I think they caught Tennessee at a good time because Nico's playing better right now, the freshman quarterback.
Yeah,
he was better on Saturday. Hey, your thoughts as far as Talen Green? Your thoughts on what has happened with him this season?
Yeah, I think he haven't had that consistency. He's been beat up a little bit, so he just hadn't gotten in a rhythm. And I think when you have an offensive line that struggles to protect, it just throws you off. His timing, when do I need to get rid of the ball? Should I run it? I just think he's still learning on the Petrino system. And
I think he has thrown it better from the pocket.
I think he has.
Yeah, he's gotten better at that.
But it's tough for a quarterback to drop back. You got about 1 second, all of a sudden you're it's not easy.
They run a stat in pro football performance there on how much the quarterback is responsible for sacks, and his was like at 17%, and the offensive line was like at 83%. So, there's a perception that he's holding the ball all the time too long. Sometimes he has no chance.
And we're back to that point to where we thought maybe with Sam Pittman that we'd always have great offensive lines. And
that's the biggest indictment on him. I thought last year was a one-time deal.
It was bad, man.
And, and it's not all that you have to have the best athletes in the offensive line. It's working together. It's identifying the rushers. And that's where you thought he'd be next level, that these guys week 10 or week 11 would be working maybe they're not the best guys, but they would be working together as a unit.
Yeah, they've struggled. Again, it's the NIL.
Yeah.
It's the difference between NIL and Ole Miss and here. Ole Miss is getting the first team NIL player from A&M.
Yeah.
We're getting the second team or third team player from Tennessee or Michigan State or whatever, which doesn't mean they're not a good player, but the difference between having the first
Then you
team.
look at someone like Indiana who brings up guys from James Madison.
Listen, that's the best story ever. Best story ever.
Yeah, and then
Dude coaches them up too.
And then Dion brings in like 50 new players.
He coaches them up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the there's the argument that offensive linemen have to work together for Dion's bringing in 50 new players a year, losing 50, and look at them.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about the NIL, you can scream until there's some transparency. We don't know how much Arkansas is spending in relation to other schools.
I think
in the
people,
SEC.
if they knew, they'd lose their mind. How many schools are struggling to get through this?
Just to make pay each week. Yeah. Which sooner or later it's going to get to a breaking point where they're going to be.
Well, you saw Signetti. You mentioned Indiana. They just signed him to an $8 million. I mean, good Lord. I mean, how much do we have to keep paying? Just because the contract with the TV deal is making more money, do we have to just? Yeah. We're going to be up to $25 million one of these days. We're going to pay him $100 million. Where's the line? And
you talk about Yurchek. I think his biggest mistake was he was preaching with coaches a different way of dealing with them. Yeah. And he signs off on a Jimmy Sexton contract that has got him now hamstring. And he was going to remember he was going to change things. Yeah. You're going to work on incentives.
Well, I know Sam Pittman's in a lot of pain.
Those
of us who have bone on bone know.
Yes.
So, he's done the minute the season's over. Of course, that hip replacement, he'll be able to get back and coach at a bowl game if they get to it.
The difficult thing is last year was such a bad year that a lot of people made the decision then that we weren't going to get to a higher level with Sam Pittman. And it's hard to change those people, with this season we're having 5-5. I mean, those same people are saying if you want another 5-5 next year, 4-7, you're going to get that's what you're going to get with Sam Pittman.
Is there any way we lose this game next week?
I think there's a chance. I mean,
have we checked on the Oakland sports line?
It was a good sign they handled business at Mississippi State. And that could have been a trap game. That wasn't an easy game, though. I mean, they
almost blew it at the end.
If they didn't turn it over, but that was a good sign. Hopefully we've gotten better as a team, and but offensively, they have really struggled against a lot of teams. So there's a chance it could be a low-scoring game.
Makes me nervous. We've seen these kind of teams in Fayetteville before.
Yeah, they'll be blitzing off the bus, man.
Small crowd. You don't have the juice going there, and
it is senior day, and he did inform us today that only one senior potentially could come back. So that's Braun, the lineman.
What does that mean?
Well, he's a senior. He's gonna walk, but he could come back.
So all the other guys could come back.
No, all the other guys are leaving.
They're for sure. They're seniors, and eligibility's up.
Or they're leaving. He just said they won't be back. He said there's 6 guys. He said today there's 6 guys that he's going to visit with the Monday after the Missouri game to decide, try to talk them into coming back. And I assume Talen Green will be one of those 6.
Gotta tell you, I hate this.
The finances will change for some of them.
I hate this new college football. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Who was I talking to the other day? It wasn't Jordan Rogers. It was somebody just said golly, I hate the way it is.
Hey, you're friends with somebody like Frank Fletcher. What does he think of this paying for players? And
I don't think he's a big fan of it, but he knows that's the way it is. That's where the system is now, and he can help out and do his part. So I think he's enjoyed that relationship with Talen Green. He really likes Talen. He's a good kid.
Talen is a great guy, and one kid you'd root for.
If you'd have told me like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe when I was playing 40 years ago, David, one of these days, you're going to have a businessman that'll be willing to cut you a check every month. It's not through the athletic department, just a guy. He owns a company, gets to just, like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane.
Crazy.
Well, he did make a public appearance at the library the other day.
He did. He's a good guy. He's a good young man. I like him. But yeah, it's this strange world we live in.
Yeah, and we don't know what he is saying to Bobby Petrino too. His goal may be to play in the NFL, and he wants to become a better pocket passer.
Yeah. Well, Petrino will make him a better player. Just the problem is, does that equate to wins? And I think you got to have some guys to block up front, and they're struggling with that. When you have trouble blocking up front, you're going to have a hard time being successful.
Well, how did they move the ball in the second half?
Again,
in the fourth quarter.
a couple plays. They had the long completion to Armstrong. Finally, give him a chance.
Yeah.
And then I think they ran a couple back-to-back plays that were bread and butter plays, and they executed them well. Also, you get a rhythm. Get back up there a little bit, maybe quicker pace, boom.
Yeah.
So that's what he's, as opposed to pass run, and I think it's a rhythm. I
am kind of surprised we haven't gone into kind of a fast-paced offense at times
to
try to shake up the offense.
I think they did a little bit in those 2 drives, I think. So,
any potential that, Travis Williams, if the defense plays lights out the next 2 games, he could be our next head coach or interim head coach? No.
He could be an interim. I don't think.
How much pressure do you think there is on the football program for that next head coach when you got Calipari sitting over here on the throne in basketball?
There's no question.
That you get a football guy that, at least makes a little ripple in the pond.
I think the pressure's on.
Do you think Rhett Lashley, if he's
the
the type of guy?
Yeah, I think if you're going to make a move on Pittman, you have to have a guy that's young and that can communicate this whole NIL game and transfer portal game with these guys. He's from Arkansas. He's in the early 40s. He gets the game.
But you have to have a guy, too, who can get the Tysons of the world excited about the program.
Well, he's in Arkansas.
He's from Northwest Arkansas.
His dad apparently is super successful.
Yeah.
So he fits the mold if he wants to come back and do that, if they choose to make a move. He would be good. He got fun offense. Look what he's done at SMU. World finalist.
If you're coming in and you look at that schedule next year, and you look at like Notre Dame week 3 or something.
But you know what, Sully? You always believe that you can get it done.
Yeah,
if you're the coach, you always believe. Come back to a place where I know and can bring this thing back to relevance.
And you got to believe the next 2-year cycle can't be as bad as this 2-year cycle.
Sully, don't even listen. I've been through the worst cycles for the last 12 years. I went through the Chad Morris cycle.
You think of next year, you'll be going to some great place. You'll be going to LSU. You'll be going to Ole Miss. You'll be going to Tennessee and Texas.
Yeah, that's a lot, boy. That's tough, Sully.
Yeah. And Memphis won't be an easy game.
They better have some the NIL transactions this offseason.
And Notre Dame is kind of they'll get another quarterback, Riley Leonard. They'll find
Notre Dame's in Fayetteville next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, it's going to be tough sledding.
And then eight at Memorial Stadium.
And that's the first game of the year, right?
Yeah. No, it's second game.
Second. Who's first?
Like Alabama A&M or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You better go after those. If you're going to go and transfer portal, spend some money on number 1 lineman.
Hey, your senior day memories, and you spent 4 or 5 years there, so it had to be an emotional day.
I remember it was overcast. We were playing SMU. I just remember thinking to myself, I can't believe this could be the last time. And they said, from Panama City, Florida, and ran out there, and it was sort of surreal. We were 8-2 at the time playing SMU. We ended up being 10-2. The 2 games we lost were 5 points, and so it's good memories.
Yeah, what a run for a guy like Hudson Clark who walks on, and has his day of fame when he had 3 interceptions against Ole Miss, and I thought he really played well on Saturday.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's just plugged along for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we don't need to leave him on Hudson Island. But he plays hard. He's a good kid.
And he's the guy who ran down the.
He did cause the fumble that we almost got. Yeah.
But this is the year the ball bounces out of bounds. Yeah. And C.J. Brown's ball stays in bounds. Coach Pittman pointed out after the game.
He did.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Louisiana Tech? You mentioned to me.
It worries me that win because I'm doing my Oakland sports pick. I've tried to follow the teams that and listen. That was a pretty good Western Kentucky team they beat. They were 5-0.
Yeah.
They were 5-0, I think 6-3. So watch out. We have a history of not playing well.
You would hope this time of the year that the other team would be checked out, Louisiana Tech.
If you look at the comments of the coach from Louisiana Tech, he's like, man, now we're going the right direction. So they've got momentum. They can look at us as, this is not a great Arkansas team. So, again, we have a history of not playing well.
And they can look at those certain games like the UAB game where, people hung around a while with Arkansas.
We're better we have more talent than they are, but it's not about talent. We saw that UAB. You better come ready to play and play with emotion and effort,
It won't be long before we flip the page and, guys leave and we start shopping in the portal again.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate all of it, Sully. I can't stand it.
Do you have any idea where Arkansas is as far as resources?
I have no idea. I've just heard that they've struggled this season to cut checks.
Yeah.
The players. If people really knew that was the case, and people could really see how much Hunter Yurchek is under pressure to call Warren Stevens or Frank Fletcher or whoever, say, man, we need. I think it would be shocking to everybody.
Yeah, it's gotten to a real bad point. I mean, now.
Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
As we said, we just know we're paying $1 million here and $700,000 there, and Lord have mercy.
Yeah, and you got to make some tough decisions too. When guys you bring in, what if you bring in guys for big money and they didn't perform up to their, up to that level?
Well, you got that situation with UCF with KJ.
Yeah, and he had Las Vegas with the quarterback. Who left?
That's right.
Yeah.
I wonder if Talen Green is watching Boise State, thinking, "Man, if I'd be at Boise State, I'd be in the playoffs."
Is that crazy? Yeah,
got that top running back.
But he wouldn't be getting paid $700,000 or $800,000.
That's the other thing. He's thinking, "Man, I could be in the playoffs, or I could be filling my bank account that's going to help my family for the next 10 years."
Think about this. Arkansas is going to encourage him to come back, so it's probably won't be at a lower rate than he got this year.
Probably the same thing.
Yeah, so he's going to be
whatever that is.
Yeah, I have no idea. You would guess for a.
I'm thinking. I would think. And Frank Fletcher, I've never asked him.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, I would say $700,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah. Does he have to have the appetite to pony up again for Talen Green next year?
I think so.
Yeah.
But he likes him. He likes him. I think he really has a good relationship with him, and so.
You know how I'll know if he really likes him?
Yeah.
If he names a horse after him.
Listen, all I know is it used to be you cannot get players on the air. I can get Talen Green on the air now when we're at Frank Fletcher's place because Frank just calls up there.
Yeah.
It's a different world. That's just, these all the guys, all the folks up there in Fayetteville realize this is a unique world with these sponsors and money.
Yeah, you
and
don't
players.
go through Kyle Parkinson.
Yeah.
You go through Frank Fletcher.
Right. Well, I'll let Kyle know. Frank wants to have Talen on it. And Kyle
What's he going to say?
Kyle knows. Kyle knows. He knows the situation.
How about what I mentioned earlier about Talen Green and instincts running?
Yeah. I think sometimes that is an internal clock issue. Sometimes just getting used to seeing, and then he's getting elite people after him. I mean, that was number 3 in the nation.
I think Matt Jones was the type of guy who had that kind of X factor as far as had that instinct about when to leave and when to run.
But I think Matt was a little bit more instinctive in terms of explosive escape.
Yeah,
I think Talen has a hard time. I mean, Matt would explode out of there. I think Talen's not quite. Talen takes a couple of big, giraffe strides.
I wish he looked to his left every once in a while.
I know.
I mean, that's
just he's a righty. So
but I don't see him faking and going one direction. When he gets going, he's like, he's hard to catch when he rounds. But I don't see the elusiveness of some of the other guys. Like there's no way Jackson Dart should have more rushing yards than Talen Green.
Yeah, Dart's an animal. He's a good one.
Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah, see now that you got Ole Miss going to Gainesville this week. Watch out. Florida will play them tough. I think Ole Miss will probably win, but watch out. Florida will play them tough.
And if you don't think these coaches remember,
you bet.
We saw Lane Kiffin go over to Hudson Clark after the game. Why would he pick out Hudson Clark? Hudson Clark had 3 interceptions in that 7-interception turnover game against Arkansas. And then on Saturday, you pointed out the reaction from Sarkisian when he put Arkansas away.
It was an important win.
Yeah. I mean, he gave a big fist pump, and it wasn't just beating, And
I think that's a compliment. He knew to come in here
yes.
that he knew Arkansas was going to be a tough out. And so to get the win, he was very happy with it. So
yeah, and you got the mark of a championship team is when you respond with that drive they did in the fourth quarter.
Sure did. Yeah.
And then you take the ball with like 6 or 7 minutes to go and you don't give it back.
Yep. Listen, we played number 3.
Yeah, you forget that.
You played Ole Miss was number 8.
Yeah.
LSU at the time was 15.
Yeah, LSU is
They're with us now.
Tanks.
Come on, LSU.
Yeah.
Come on, not top 25.
You think Sam Pittman's having rough days. What's Brian Kelly going through?
All those LSU fans after they beaten Ole Miss were so excited, talking down to everybody. And they're like, welcome back to earth.
Yeah, well, happiness in the SEC is a week-to-week deal.
True.
Yeah. All right. I think we've.
All right. I think we're going to be ready to come back in here with a win next week.
Yeah.
I'm not coming in here. If we don't beat Louisiana Tech, I'm not coming in here.
I don't know how you survive this schedule just going
Well,
on.
We're almost there.
Winning makes it easier, though, doesn't it?
It does. It makes it a lot more.
When you do win.
Makes it a lot more positive. It does.
All right. Appreciate you.
You bet.
Your dad's here this weekend, too.
Yeah, my dad, my pop's. Great to have him up for Panama City.
He's become a Razorback fan.
He is. Listen, he turns 84 next week, and he's been calling the Hawks since 1981. So, I put him through all my Oakland picks. He's had to listen to me.
How did you do this week?
I was 67% in college.
Oh, wow.
4-2, and then 2-2 in pro, which makes me 60% overall. But back on the right track, thanks to Oakland. Thank you.
It's hard to.
It's not easy.
Beat those guys.
Boy, especially the NFL yesterday. Holy cow! And there were some interesting games. BYU goes down.
Yeah.
There were some close. Well, and then Oregon. I thought Oregon would handle Wisconsin.
How about Pitt beating Clemson?
Did they? I thought Clemson.
Did Clemson come back?
Clemson came back one.
Well, Pitt had them down there at the end.
They did. And then South Carolina that weekend we just talked about.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was a big win for them.
Talk about South Carolina. Yeah. What a year they're having.
7-3. They've knocked off. They sort of slow.
Doing it with a freshman quarterback.
An impressive one, too.
Yeah. Now they got to ante up with him.
Yeah.
He was probably a bargain coming in.
Yeah.
Lenore Sellers will be.
Pay the man.
Yeah.
Pay the man.
He'll be quarterbacking LSU next year.
Yeah.
Just the way it is, isn't it?
I hate it.
All right. Appreciate you, Baz.
You bet. Fun times.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Hog Central Podcast. New episodes drop Tuesday on YouTube or listen on the go. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every major podcast platform.